Welcome to the Sunday Night Army podcast, the #1 music discovery podcast anywhere and everywhere. Here is your host, Jacob.
All right, welcome to the show. I am Jacob. This is Entertainment News 18, the last one for 2023, the last Entertainment News episode. But there's more episodes coming up on YouTube, one more at least here on YouTube that'll be coming out, where I'll talk about couple different things, but we'll get to that in a second. First of all, thank you to everyone listening over the world. Thank you, especially if you're listening on Apple, because if you're on your Apple device and you're listening to the show, fantastic. Thank you. You've listened so much. I've been training, especially here in Canada, for the last couple weeks. Crazy. Thank you so much. There's many reasons you should listen to the show on all podcast streaming platforms. And there's about 292 reasons for you to be listening to the show right now on your favorite podcast streaming platform. And for those listening on, again, Apple devices, thank you, because you've been helping me trend on the charts. Thank you so much. Besides that, it's kind of topic for the show. Yep, one of my favorite shirts. We'll talk about this in a few minutes. Now, episode 300 is coming up. It looks like right now the timeline will be end of January when it actually does come out. I'm working on gathering things this month in December for that episode. I'm working on some stuff. There'll be a lot of news, a lot of feedback shared, a lot of information. It'll be a huge show. I can't wait for that. Still gathering information for that. It takes time. It takes time to gather that information this month, put it together. It's what's going to happen. Now, there's more on that on an upcoming episode, the end of year episode that will be here only on Rumble and YouTube, just like this. So look forward to that probably next week, sometime Tuesday, Wednesday-ish next week, right before Christmas. You will have a new episode, and I'll talk more about episode 300 and what's going to happen with it, and give you more details on all the cool things that are coming up with that, and of course the future of the show. Now, besides that, Entertainment News episode 18, just like the shirt says, if you are a fan of the Fallout lore, the Fallout games, the TV show trailer dropped last week, and I was very happy with it. Maybe because I've been waiting forever to see, more than just screenshots of production shots. Looks like there's a lot of money put into the show, and it deserves it. The lore, development, the games, the TV show has to be an effort. And I don't want it to be an effort for one season. I want an effort for as long as it lasts. It has to make sense to the genre. It has to make sense to the universe that it's in. It has to make a lot of sense. So I'm glad they're taking time and money to do it correctly. And I could be wrong, but I think the timeline, from what I've seen, is going to be sort of like the next chapter of the game. So you'll continue. I'm sure we'll get a backstory on everything, but looks like the timeline will continue on after the last couple games, which is good. The universe, of course, the Fallout universe is a lot of info. It's a very complicated universe, a lot of interesting people and things in it. So I am very much looking forward to it, and the trailer was fantastic. So very happy about that. Now, I have my notes on my phone today because I've been putting them together last few days, and I haven't had time to put them on the computer that I am recording this on. So I'll be reading off my phone for as the show goes on today. Entertainment News 18, again, Fallout, fantastic, great trailer. So go check that out. It's on YouTube, Rumble, everywhere. So that trailer was really good. Now, what I learned recently, and I'm a big Top Gear and Grand Tour fan, Jeremy, James, and Richard, big fan of them. Those guys have been watching all the Top Gear seasons, all the Grand Tour. That was great. And from what I hear now, the Grand Tour is no more. There's no more Grand Tour episodes coming out. So I know we're going to get Jeremy Clarkson's Farm season 3 should be coming out. So I will be looking forward to that because I love that show. It's so funny. It's a really cool concept of it. And I'm just a fan of all these three guys, and they have their own shows. And I'm looking forward to the next possible, maybe, Top Gear reunion. show. Maybe they'll come back. I don't know. That would be interesting. But that I wouldn't say never, because these guys do crazy things. If they get a budget, I'm looking forward to some more trips. So that would be fun. A couple things I watched. Let's get to that. I have an awesome top 5 list coming up shortly. But things I'm in the middle of watching the Monarch series, the Godzilla universe. Not bad. Okay, starting to lose me halfway through this season already. Now the build-up is good. I like build-up of stories. If you listen to these shows, you know, I like building up of storyline. I like the beginning of things. But you're losing me when it starts taking you away from the idea of the show. And you start going sideways in other directions and more plot lines and plot lines and plot lines and personal relationships and plot lines. I'm like, okay, no, like monsters. Just do it. You know, Walking Dead, zombies, not 5 seasons of people talking. Same thing here. I want to see monsters. That's what the damn show's about. Background on this on Monarch, things like that. I don't need like, you know, sappy shit. This is a monster show. Stick to that. So I'm again getting disappointed with the way direction halfway through the season right now. Watched a movie called Nowhere, but a Spanish movie. Girl stuck in a container. Looks like kind of dystopian type of movie. She's stuck in a container, pregnant. I don't want to spoil it, but it's on Netflix, called Nowhere. Interesting. And I like foreign movies because there's a lot of good stuff out there that's being made around the world. We only see a little bit of it. But it was decent. Interesting plot line and giant plot holes, and how a giant metal container with holes in it decides to just float for a very long time. But it was an interesting story. I think I would have liked more of what the hell happened, and you know, in general to the world in their universe. But it's a movie about a floating container in the water. There's only so much you can do. So that was okay. And everybody's talking about this movie, and I've watched this also. Leave the World Behind. Now, this is one of my least favorite people. Michelle Obama was an executive producer on this, the Obamas. I don't like anything about them. I think they're extremely fake. But that aside, this is an entertainment show. Leave the World Behind. There's a lot of hoopla around this movie. Now, you can look at it a couple different ways. Okay. Now, it's an entertainment movie, but also end of the world movie. Now, there's a lot in this movie. If you pay attention, if you want one of us who looks into the details of things, if you're paying attention to what's going on around you, not just a casual viewer. Casual viewers will not catch anything in this movie. And you can go find other videos. We'll break this down completely for you. But if you're watching a movie and you can see the subtle signs, of some things, why would they throw in there? It's an interesting watch. It's an interesting watch. It's not a great movie by any means. It's not. But why would they throw in certain things? And character building is pretty good. But like, why would they throw in certain things in the environment and the story breakdown and certain things here and there involving certain nations and the ideas behind it? It's interesting. It's not impossible for this to happen. It's not. Everything that's in this movie is extremely possible, which is why the reaction of this movie is like the way it is. Not because who made it, not really because of the storyline, but because it is possible. It is extremely possible for something like this to happen. Will it? I don't have that answer, but it is very possible. So I think that's the main thing, the main takeaway from watching this movie, that everything in this movie that happens, outside from people being super rich and affording giant houses, is that what happens in this movie can happen. So that's my takeaway from it. And I think if you watch it, go check it out on Netflix and let me know what you think. Throwback. Every episode I have a throwback of what I watched, that I could rewatch from way back. And since we're in the time of the season, and I do this every year, and I watch, my throwback for this week is Home Alone. But let's talk about some of the things in this movie that are annoying. Okay, it's a fun holiday movie. Watch it every year, but I'm watching it again a little bit differently this year because I'm looking at it if you look at the characters, especially throughout the movie, the kids, even the adults, who talks like that? The conversation, the behavior. I'm not saying it's unacceptable, but it's like I've never met anybody who talks like this about other people, around other people. The way the kids behave to the parents, the way the parents don't give a shit about anything themselves, very conceited and into their own little bubble. And these are the type of people I hate. I hate the people that are just concerned with what they're doing at any time and are ignorant, not ignoring, ignorant of their surroundings. And it translates to the rest of the family. You can clearly see that environment in this movie. So Home Alone, it's a good case study on how conceited and inverted a lot of people are. So it's just my big takeaway from it was like, how are these people talking to other people like this? The nerve of some of the things that they do. I know it's a movie and it's supposed to be fun. It's like, oh my God, they did this. But the nerve of how you communicate, between other people in society, horrible example of that with that movie. Okay, now let's do something fun. Top 5 holiday movies. And I've done this before on other shows, like on my previous podcast and on my other podcast that I do. But I wanted to do a top 5 Christmas holiday movies because there might be some gems in there, might be some surprises, maybe a little controversial, but not in the way you think. So let's start there. 5 Christmas holiday movies, my top 5 list. Let's do that right now. Number 5, we just talked about it, Home Alone. Why it's a classic. It takes place during the holidays. Interesting storyline. One of the first holiday movies that I remember watching here that I really got into. It was funny, original. So there's that. Number 4, this is more of a less known movie called Surviving Christmas with Ben Affleck and James Gandolfini. Check it out. If you're a fan of those two actors, which I am, you will love this movie. You will love the character building. Love the great cast of this movie. Great cast of this movie. All over the place. Just a great cast. Really, really good. Something sad, but something's funny. Christmas movie that's often overlooked. So number 4, Saving Christmas. Was it Surviving Christmas? I think it's Surviving Christmas. I don't know why I have Saving on here. It's called Surviving Christmas. So that's that. So for everybody in there, I eventually figured the movie out. Surviving Christmas. Number 3, Fred Claus. Fred Claus, I put in here because it's extremely funny. Also, fantastic cast. Very good take on the holiday movies, because it doesn't take point of view of anybody except Santa Claus's brother, Vince Vaughn. Okay, what else do you need? Very funny, very, very, very funny, very well made, good story idea, great acting in it also. Number 2, this is where the controversy begins. Doesn't end, but it begins. Because number 2 favorite Christmas movie of all time, do not hate me, but I definitely wanted you to spam the comments. Die Hard 2. That is the best Die Hard, in my humble opinion. Also, the Die Hard Christmas movie. Okay? Die Hard 2 is the Die Hard Christmas movie. I say it's better than the first one. It's my favorite one. And yes, it is a Christmas movie. Number 1, no doubt about this one, Christmas Vacation. And whatever you say about Chevy Chase, whatever. Great comedy actor of that era. And those movies are fantastic. They're funny. They're silly. You don't take them seriously. It's a fun movie. We watch it every year. And that's why it's number 1. Very, very, and it's rewatchable. Very rewatchable. So Christmas Vacation, number 1. Now, I work a lot on this show to do these entertainment episodes on YouTube and Rumble. And of course, all these episodes I have recorded that I record for the standard show that comes out on Sundays, music series, the other stuff that comes out, that happens, the interviews. It's a lot of work. And I reach out to a lot of artists, and sometimes it's interesting to see who responds. Some artists like the comments, no response. We get PR teams, and I've reached out to some of the bigger names that on the independent scene that I like, that I listen to and I follow. And I've reached out, obviously, Dax, Jelly Roll, Tom McDonald. I reached out to all those guys. Clearly, nobody's responded because they would have been on the show already. But it's something that I strive to do because I want to have a good conversation. I want to have a good conversation. And because I wouldn't be introducing the artist to you. So it would be different. It's different when I have independent artists that I introduce to my audience. But when you have some really big independent artists, I don't have to introduce them to you. I want to have a conversation. And I want to learn a lot more. So I put that out there too, that I would like to have them on the show. Clearly, none of them respond. I'm still not there yet as a big show for big names. But I think those type of conversations I would like to have on the show, dig a little deeper into the music and their lives, because I have a lot of questions for them. Again, none of the standard questions. We wouldn't be going there, but it's digging in more than what we get usually. These are not super public people. So I would love to have one of those three guys on the show. And there's a lot of other artists that I won't mention that I try to get on the show a lot from all over the world. Why? Well, again, you might know them, but I want to get that combo. I want to get into knowing them more and getting into their music. So you never know. Episode 300 is coming up, and we'll talk about that in a sec a little bit more. But if you're listening to this show right now, if you've gotten this far, you know there's a Spotify playlist for all the artists that I have on the show for 292 episodes. You've heard it almost in every episode I mentioned. Go to Spotify, follow the playlist. You get all the 176 songs or something like that's on there right now. Nice and easy. It's all the artists on one playlist. Super simple. You also have, besides the YouTube channel, you have all platforms. Spotify is there. Anywhere you find your music, you'll find this show. And if you want to support me, besides listening, of course, or watching on YouTube on Rumble, one way to do it, grab some merch. And merch has been flying off the shelf this month, which I thank you. Thank everybody so much for buying my merch. I'm very grateful for that. I love my merch. I wear it whenever I can. I know a bunch of people bought it. And yet nobody wants to send me selfies with it. What the heck? Let's go. So grab the merch. The links in the Linktree merchandise store, especially now before Christmas. You can have a sale. Let's get that going. Support independent podcasters like myself. And speaking of independent podcasters and myself, episode 300 for the 8th time that I'm going to mention it here is coming in January. But next week, the breakdown of end of year, I'm going to have a sort of a summary of interesting things that happened this year and an outlook for next year. So look out for that video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button down below here on Rumble or YouTube and follow the show. A lot of good things coming up. And if you haven't seen what I say on TikTok, already mentioned it, a lot of cool things happening. So best way to keep up with all that and find your next favorite independent music artist is to follow, like, and subscribe. Talk to you guys later.